So what is unique about healthcare, which is actually driving the cost up? Uh, I think in the previous couple of months back also we talked about the massive amount of data that is coming in, right? And healthcare organizations, if you see that, they have actually shifted most of the organization, even the bigger ones we have seen, they have moved from the product view to the patient view. The patient has become a center. Now, the data that you are getting it's massive data for that particular patient or member from many other places as well. You need to unify that particular member information to create a single view of that particular member. And when you look at this particular process itself is a very cost intensive process, takes lots of cost from cloud compute perspective and as such. So really you need to design that particular process pretty well and solid enough so that when it's actually runs on cloud, something like cloud, it's actually appropriately governed and taken care of. This is first thing. The second thing I see that basically the part of architectural nut bolts itself, right? And when you are creating that architecture on the ground itself, right, you should be very careful about picking up the right services, making sure that you are using the right technology. When you are using the right technology, you are making sure that technology and the architecture, when you are coding it, that's actually being coded it right, right? Like we used to do in the on-prem system, the performance tuning. The same thing that you have to be careful in while you are architecting that means kind of an overall system altogether. Then you look at the consumption patterns. You need to understand that consumption patterns and make it much more cost-efficient consumption patterns rather than because cloud is unforgiving in that particular case. If you write a bad query and it doesn't run, you still have to pay for it because you just ran it. You actually used some compute on top of it, right? So those are the things that I think organizations should be careful about. During the development processes also, we have seen that while you are migrating the data onto the cloud environment, and Yogesh picked up on the topic that massive amount of data that people are moving from either Hadoop to platforms or from other systems onto the platform, right? In this case also, we need to be very careful about the processes that we are building and do the first time right. Otherwise, if you do something wrong and try to revert it, you still incur the cost, right? So while migrating as well, you need to be very careful about what data you're migrating. You're picking up the right data to be migrated. You have tested it well enough, and then the right data that you are moving it on the cloud environment. So apparently, if you look at it, while you're architecting and processing needs, those are being architected right way. When you're developing it, you need to be sure about you are developing the right components. And when you're testing it, you need to be make sure that you are testing it appropriately so that you don't have to revert back. Sometimes it happens, but I think basically you have to be sure about you're moving the right data onto the cloud platform.